Hello, good day, guys. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Edwin Madu. Today, we are going to talk about the cost of you coming to Australia to work as a pharmacist. It involves a lot of expenses, and I will always say it's good for you to. So, the first cost has to do with eligibility check. The description section of this video will give you the total costs of what eligibility check is. So it's going to cost you this amount on the screen. So that is how much you're going to pay for eligibility check. So when that is positive, you need to sit for CAPS examination. Again, there is a link in the description section of this video that will tell you about the cost. Also, the cost of registering and sitting for CAPS examination known as Knowledge Assessment of Pharmaceutical Science is displayed on the screen in this video. Then after you pass CAPS examination, you want to register for provisional registration, or you want to apply for provisional registration with APRA, which is like the medical board responsible for regulation of activities of healthcare professionals here in Australia. So for pharmacists, it's going to cost you this amount. Then there are also associated costs in terms of you applying for visa. So it depends on the visa you are going for. If you're going for 190 visa, 491 visa, they have different costs. So the best advice I'll give is after you've pass CAPS examination, you've gotten an offer 491 or 190 as the case may be, just go to Australian immigration website. If you're looking forward to applying for 491 visa, just go there and look at the cost and know what it's going to cost you. So I cannot begin to start mentioning the various costs like for the various visa, because there are lots of options for pharmacists who want to come to Australia to work. So 491 visa has a specific cost which is different from someone who's going for 190, and the cost of 482 visa is different from the cost of 491 visa. You also remember that if you're applying as an independent candidate, the cost is different compared to maybe someone who has a family and you're coming with your family members. So if you are including them in the application, there will also be a cost attached to it. So if you go to Australian immigration website, try to click on the particular visa you're applying for. Let's say for instance 482 visa, just click on type cost of 482 visa. So it will link you or take you to the site and will tell you about the cost implications. As this is the cost you pay to Immigration Australia at the point of you applying for the visa. Remember, there are other they call it miscellaneous expenses. There are other costs associated with this. You also have to consider the cost of the medical test you are going to run. If you are applying from outside Australia, you may also require to do biometrics, as the case may be. If you're using an agent who is going to process the application for you, there is also going to be a cost attached to it. So just factor out all of this. So these are, I call them pre-cost, like what is going to cost you at the initial stage before you come to Australia. Now you've arrived in Australia maybe with 491 visa, 190, 494, 482, 407, as the case may be. You need to do a compulsory internship here. Internship usually lasts for a year. You're going to also apply for what is known as intern program. So there are various bodies that organize that for pharmacists here. So you have a Monash University, there is PSA, there is Pharmacy Guild. It's going to cost you money. I think the list will be around 8,800 as the case may be. Some of them may want you to pay in installments, so you are paying a little bit of the money until you complete the required amount. Apart from this, you also have to consider the costs of living in Australia, the accommodation. So in Australia, rents are being paid on weekly or fortnightly basis. So you also have to consider the cost of, now we are talking about costs of relocation. So you've got into Australia, you may be lucky, your employer might give you accommodation maybe for a month or let's say 2 months as the case may be. You may not be lucky, you'll not be given accommodation, you have to sort yourself out. So also factor in the cost of living in Australia. So if you go to website, if you go online, so you can, the region you want to stay, you can just browse Google online and see how much it's going to cost you per week or per fortnight, in a month, 2 months, as the case may be, to live in Australia. You also have to consider the cost of feeding and also other miscellaneous expenses like cost of transport when you're going to start your work. Again, you also have to factor in, after you've come here and you've started doing your internship, you need to sit for two more exams. So one is written exam and the other one is oral examination. So the cost of um, the written internship written exam is displayed on the screen. You can see the cost. You also have to go for oral examination, and this is the cost. So there are a whole lot of things attached to becoming a trained pharmacist in Australia, but the cost you're going to spend in Australia shouldn't bother you, because definitely you'll be earning money, so you'll be able to finance those costs. You should be able to take care of them, but the ones you need to pay off before coming to Australia, you need to consider the cost of eligibility check, the cost of sitting for CAPS examination, um, yeah, the cost of sitting for CAPS examination, the cost of visa application, how much you're going to pay to agent, how much is what the visa application, the amount you're going to pay to Immigration Australia, the medical test. You also have to plan the relocation costs, like your flight fee, depending on where you're coming from, how much it's going to cost you, your flight tickets. Coming down to Australia, you also need to factor in accommodation you are going to stay, and probably feeding and other miscellaneous expenses for 3 months or 4 months. So plan all these costs and see if it is what you can do. So if you have enough finance and you feel you can actually afford this, go for it. When you come to Australia and you start working, you'll be able to offset other bills. So that is it for the cost implication of coming to Australia as a pharmacist. It's capital intensive, so it's really good for you to explore, do the critical analysis, do the permutation and combination, the calculation, the mathematical calculation, and see if it is something you can actually embark upon. So at the end of the day, it's feasible for you. You've done the SWOT analysis. It's something you can do. Why not go for it? And we look forward to seeing you in Australia, guys. Until then, do have a lovely day. Bye. It's Edwin.